In today's video, we are looking at 5 types of people that you should try and avoid spending time with, as they contradict the cornerstones of Stoic principles. Epictetus, the renowned Stoic philosopher, in his Manual for Living, stated, "Avoid fraternizing with people who don't share your values. Prolonged association with those with false ideas can only tarnish your thinking. It's critical that you surround yourself with people that lift you up and do not hold you back from your goals." So let's dive in and discuss the first type of person. Number 1, the manipulator. The manipulator is adept at playing on emotions or psychological weaknesses. They may try to sway you in their favor via flattery, guilt trips, or even outright dishonesty. A buddy of yours may consistently get you to pay for dinner by stating something along the lines of, "You know, I've been having a rough month and you're so successful it wouldn't mean much to you." Gradually, you discover that your magnanimity has been used, but confronting them makes you uneasy because they presented it as a courtesy. Taking care of a manipulator might be challenging for a friend in need. One way to counter such strategies is to remain firm and acknowledge the veracity of the manipulator's claims while resisting the urge to give in to emotional blackmail. You may remark, "You're right, I've been doing well, but let's split the bill like we usually do," in response to their statement that your recent success means you should pay for dinner. If the manipulator wants you to give them money or agree to do something you're not comfortable with, another strategy is to simply establish and stick to open and honest boundaries. Adopt a calm, concise tone of voice and practice saying no in an authoritative manner. By explaining you're here to provide emotional support but can't contribute money or other resources, will help define those boundaries and also keep the friendship intact. Number 2, the victim. Regardless of their decisions, some people think there are other forces always against them. Their story is an endless litany of self-destruction. Played as the powerless protagonist, they are unable to advance in their position because their supervisor disapproves of them, or they lack the time to exercise. It's important to recognize that some individuals experience real difficulties and systemic problems, but in this case, the victim refuses to accept responsibility for their actions or lack thereof, and instead exploits their situation as a never-ending justification. Maybe you'll find yourself drawn into their plot as the dependable sidekick who is always there to save them. Let's imagine you've listened for hours on end to a friend blame their ex-partners for their never-ending streak of unsuccessful relationships. This is not just a waste of time, but it may also quietly inspire you to take on a victim mentality of the same kind in your own life. The Stoics would warn against being their rescuer and providing them with unending guidance and emotional support, even if it could be tempting to do so. Instead, they would advise setting clear boundaries to safeguard your mental health. One strategy you could use is called compassionate detachment. Be compassionate and understanding, but refrain from attempting to save them from circumstances they must handle on their own. Provide a sympathetic ear, but avoid taking on the role of their perpetual problem solver. As Marcus Aurelius so eloquently stated, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." Avoid the temptation to adopt the victim's story if you find yourself being drawn into it. Accept responsibility for your own actions and take charge of your own life. Always aim for enlightenment and progress rather than retaliation and sympathy. Number 3, the naysayer. Imagine having a dream of becoming a professional sportsman in your chosen field. You're truly dedicated and train hard every day, but the naysayer will doubt your ambitions and point out that only a tiny percentage of athletes will ever succeed professionally. However, they themselves have no drive or ambition to achieve anything of greatness themselves. And suppose you're enthusiastic about taking on a new professional career. You've done your homework, talked to experts in the industry, and perhaps even enrolled in a few introductory classes. The skeptic immediately enumerates all the reasons why it won't succeed when you share your excitement with them. It's a very competitive market. Do you possess the necessary skills? What happens if you don't succeed? Their uncertainties eventually begin to feel like your own, and your confident vision begins to falter. Now, how do you handle someone who is a naysayer? especially if they may be a close friend or family member. Asking them for help, instead of merely expressing your objectives or goals, is an unusual but powerful strategy. People are less inclined to criticize your ideas openly and are more likely to provide helpful criticism when they are given an advising position. Another approach uses a tactic known as positive confrontation to reverse the narrative. Encourage them to come up with solutions rather than letting them consume your negativity. If they tell you that it's too late to change jobs, respond with a thought-provoking statement. Then, how do you believe someone could effectively change careers? In addition to diverting the negative, this promotes more productive dialogue. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Remember that when listening, you should separate meaningful information from background noise and be wary of naysayers that are always negative. Number 4, the drama magnet. Consider yourself traveling your life like a ship cruising across tranquil waters until you come across the drama magnet, which then feels more like traveling in a tsunami. Like a dangerous ocean, this person has a disturbing tendency to draw you into their pull of chaos and seems to be involved in a never-ending string of crises, disputes, or controversies. You may at first be drawn to the drama magnet's energy, mistaken for passion or excitement, but you'll quickly learn that being in their circle of chaos is risky and taxing, much like piloting a ship through a storm. Dealing with drama-loving people might be difficult since you may identify with their problems on some occasions. Because of how contagious their instability is, you could even end up involved in disputes that you didn't start. Let's use a real-world example. You have a friend who frequently gets into arguments with people in your social circle. One day, they talk to James instead of Amy, and your friend comes to you for advice. However, you notice that this cycle never ends, and all of a sudden, you find yourself in conflict with James, or Amy as well, because you tried to step in. You might use a technique known as reflective listening in this situation. Instead of taking sides or giving advice, reflect back to them what they have said. If someone says, "It's unbelievable that Sarah said that about me," for instance, you may reply, "So you feel like Sarah betrayed you?" By using this method, you may offer emotional support without becoming involved in the drama yourself. Stoicism teaches us to value our time, and sometimes that means being unavailable for other people's crises, especially if they are reoccurring without resolution. This is another strategy, albeit may seem counterintuitive. Switch off your phone at specific times. Establish dedicated hours for work or personal growth, and communicate to others that you are not to be interrupted during these moments. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, as Seneca famously stated. This may be very useful when managing drama lovers, as opposed to worrying constantly about the next big issue. Focus on the part of the situation that you can manage right now. Don't allow the drama of others ruin your fun-filled existence. Number 5, the complainer. Everyone has a friend, relative, or co-worker that always seems to find something wrong with everything. Whether it's the cuisine at a well-known restaurant or simply the weather on a particular day, they never pass up the chance to voice their complaints. You may be wondering why you should be concerned about this. You can choose to ignore them. But it's not as simple as that. Your mental health is negatively impacted by being around such negativity on a regular basis. It's like having a leaking tap that gradually drains your emotional energy bank. Stoicism encourages us to stop moping over issues and instead concentrate on workable solutions. Consider the following scenario. You are working on a project with a coworker who is always complaining. Every meeting becomes a tiring session of complaints rather than productive conversation. This lowers the morale of the team, diverts your attention from practical solutions, and makes you more and more disillusioned with the project, and maybe life in general. Thus, how can Stoicism assist us in handling a whiner? There are several tactics that you may use. First, wherever possible, try to restrict your interactions with this person. Your backup plan is to mentally detach yourself from them during their tirades, if the first choice isn't feasible, possibly because they're a family member or co-worker. Consider their grievances as a brief, noisy storm that is ultimately transient and helpless against the immovable mountain that is your own inner peace. Another option is to shift the topic to something more positive or to direct the debate towards solutions. You have power over your mind, not outside events, as Marcus Aurelius once said. When you accept this, you'll gain courage. This timeless Stoic wisdom counsels us to take careful care of our mental health so that the negativity of persistent complainers doesn't pull us away from our Stoic road of virtue and perseverance. In summary, always remember you will inevitably become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, so choosing your closest friends wisely is very important for your ongoing progression and self-development. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Stoic philosophy. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Share this video with someone who needs to assess their friendship group, and be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below.